Hi, future me, Cooper. Whether it's in 3 years' time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, whenever it is, whenever you're looking back on this, Cooper in 3 months, Cooper in 10 years, when you've made your millions, you're sitting back, family retired, everyone looked after. Whatever version of Cooper that is, or the complete stranger who's watching this on the internet, who's here right now. How you going? This is something I wanted to do quite frequently. I did a video like this talking to the future version of myself about 8 months ago. Honestly, sort of got so busy and consumed with day-to-day life I forgot to do another one, but I was sitting there last night and watching the one I did 8 months ago, just going like, wow. I'll link that one down below for you guys if you want to go back and watch that. But this is just something I'm wanting to do because I guess like posting on the internet has changed my life, but it's also documenting and sharing your ups and your downs. Even looking back to a lot of the videos I made when I was still a tradie, it's crazy to look back on how far we've come, but you get so caught up in the moment when you're filming videos now, you're working hard now, you're taking this risk or that risk, that you forget that you've got to look back on those times and be grateful for them, for the risk that you took young, the work that you did, the sacrifices that you made, and that's something I'm wanting to document more and more with you guys, and obviously for me to look back on once I've achieved that next big goal. I'd be lying to say right now that it isn't probably one of the better times in this whole journey. 2.5 years deep now. We started our journey back in March 2024. Right now it's August 2026. And the last video I made, I guess talking to the future version of myself, was about December 2025. Admittedly, life's been fucking great for almost 2 years now since I left my job. Like, I can't really complain. There's definitely ups and downs, and with everything that you everything that you do in life, whether it's working construction or working for yourself, making a lot of money, a lot more money than you make in construction, there's still stuff that you struggle with. It's just like you're really choosing your problems. The problems that I used to face working construction was being pretty miserable, having no fulfillment in my life, dreading the days ahead, not having a lot of money, not being able to do anything that I feel like I had time to do any of the things that I love, compared to the problems that I'm facing now is completely different, but probably double as stressful in a way. I've got over 20 people relying on me day to day. I am struggling a lot at the moment to take a step back and appreciate how far I've come. I'm just so consumed with achieving the next goal. Like, a good example just recently was I hit a month that I've been working towards for over a year, 6 figures in 1 month. I've done that for 3 months in a row now, and it hasn't even felt like I'm just wanting more. And it might sound like selfish or, hard to fathom, because 2 years ago, if I said I was at 6 figures a month, I'd be like, holy fuck, I must be so happy. And I am, and I'm so grateful, and it's so much better than when I was a tradie. But just, I guess it's scary as well looking in the future. Like, when I get to $1 million a month, $10 million, like, will I ever be content? Will I be ever able to relax and turn my brain off? And I'm grateful to, I guess, have the mindset that I'm always wanting more, but that's probably something that I'm struggling with right now. But I think these videos for myself personally to look back on and look at what I'm struggling with, and the way that I'm feeling, say 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 3 years ago, is a really good eye-opener, because I was watching the video that I made 8 months ago talking to the future version of me. I'll link it down below. I can even add some clips in. I sort of feel like I'm at a bit of a weird spot in my journey right now where I haven't made it. When people probably look at my social media and think, yeah, he's made it, because I am living a life that I'm definitely proud of, and I am living a life that a lot of people would want to live. But in the grand scheme of things, like, I think my best month to date would be around $38,000 profit. Realistically, probably this year I've made around $300,000, which is really, really good. Like, I'm really, really happy with that. It's only year 2, but I feel like I've just been stuck at this number. Like, when I first left my job, which was about 15 months ago now, the month after I hit $30,000 in a month, and I just feel like I've been stuck at that for a year. It's gone from like 15 to 20, and it's just like, it's not like, I just feel like
it's not life-changing. And I feel like, you can lose that money. That money can go as quickly as it comes. It's not like generation or anything. Like, if I were to just sit on a beach for a year and not do work, I'd run out of money. You know what I mean?
But the main stuff that I was struggling with at that point in time was, from the outside, it looked like I'd made it. I could travel to the countries that I wanted. I could live the life that I wanted. Money was not an issue. But the stress that was weighing me down at that point in time was, I was still scared of having to go back to work or losing it all. At that point in time, I'd been stuck at a cap of, say, $40,000 a month was my record month. But that had been my record month for probably 15 months. The month I left my trade, which was September 2024, 2 years ago to the day, I hit $30,000 the next month. And it took me up until pretty recently to just surpass that. And now, we've doubled it. We've hit 6 figures in a month for the last 3 months in a row. And that's cool and all. But I wasn't, appreciating that milestone that I ticked off. It was all right, now I want to make $100,000 a week. It's straight to the next one. It's not even fuck, you worked hard as fuck, Cooper, for 16 to 18 months, sacrificed, time with family. I've moved my whole life overseas. That's something I want to talk about as well today. Moved my whole life overseas, working hard as fuck. Sit back and be grateful for ticking off that goal that you've been working your fucking ass off for over a year. And watching that video back of myself, where I guess I was struggling with a bit of imposter syndrome. I was looking at my income, 30, 40K a month, let's say $360,000, $400,000 a year. Good fucking money for a 22-year-old at the time. I'm 23 now. But that's not guaranteed. And if I lose that, I'm not set for life. I'm not set for life yet. And that's probably money, say, a doctor or a lawyer would make after going to school for a university for 8 years. So they've got that, income going to be, that's guaranteed to be coming in for the rest of their life, basically. Whereas for me, running a business, you could lose it all tomorrow if something goes wrong. And yeah, you could probably live off your savings for a year or two, but it's still pretty scary. And it's probably something I still face till this day. But I guess now, having surpassed 6 figures a month, I've invested a lot of money and taken a lot of risks in 2026. I would have spent probably over $200,000, $300,000 this year alone, just to scale and more teams and systems and operations and things like that. And that's allowed me to get to $100,000 profit a month. But now it's the next thing I'm realizing is, all right, I'm probably set now. I'm setting myself up for life. I'm pretty confident that by the time I'm 30, I'll be set. But now I feel this sense of responsibility that I have to retire my family, and I'm starting to realize how much money that's really going to take. And my, long-term goals, which I want to talk about here right now, to the future version of me watching this, who's retired their parents, paid off mum and dad's house. Hopefully, if my brother and my sister want the option to not have to work, they can do that as well. This, I might watch this in 10 years time when I'm 33 and I've done all that stuff, and that's just so cool. But this is stuff that's consuming my mind now and making me feel like I'm behind. It's just this constant, it's almost like this new rat race that I'm always feeling behind, the next milestone I reach. So when I was stuck at 30 to 40K a month, I knew deep down, and I struggled with this imposter syndrome, that I haven't set myself up for life yet. By the time I'm 30, it's not guaranteed that I'm not going to have to work. That was my biggest fear, having to go back to working for another man by the hour. So what did I do in 2020, the end of 2025, 26? Worked hard as fuck, took a lot of risks, spent multi-six figures on scaling, and I got myself to $100,000 of profit a month the last 3 months. And I've pretty much tripled, quadrupled what I made in 2025 in 2026, and we're in August. But now that I've reached that new level where I'm pretty much know that I'm going to be set for life, it's this next level there that I'm just thinking to myself, well, you're set for life, but you've got to do this 5 more times over to retire your parents, pay off their house mortgage, make sure your brother, sister, niece, everyone else is looked after for eventually when I get a wife or a girlfriend and a partner, and then we have kids and all this other stuff. I'm yeah, the money you're making is good right now, but no one else is looked after. My mum, dad, they're still having to go to work every day. They're 50 years old. They're currently knocking down their house and renovating it. putting themselves back in debt at 50. And like, yes, they know that I'm there to help them out with anything financially, that they are fine with it, but they're putting themselves back in debt so that they can build a better house that's on a really good piece of land, so that, you know, when it's all said and done for them, they can, you know, we inherit that house, and that makes me feel like a piece of shit. But they're also, you know, dead set on doing it, so you've got to respect that too. That's sort of another hard part, is like, I want to do everything for my family, mum and dad and stuff right now, but you've also got to respect that, you know, they're adults and they want to do stuff for me as well. Like, I'm their son, and, you know, they've obviously got now a granddaughter, and my brother, so another son and another daughter, and it is hard wanting to do so much and them almost not accepting that I can do that for them. But also, yeah, the other thing, I guess, or the last two things, I guess, that's on my mind right now, having reached a pretty good level personally, is like how much more it's going to take to be able to look after everyone else, because that has been the whole point from the beginning, and you don't really think that far ahead. You know, I wasn't, when I was making my first $10,000 a month, in the back of my head I'm like, yeah, one day I'm going to retire my parents, but you're not thinking about the numbers and like breaking down what it's going to take to get there, because it's so far away still. Whereas that's like the next step for me. You know, I'm at a point now where I'm bringing in pretty good cash flow, so it's like, how much money am I going to need, say, in the stock market for my parents to live off that money comfortably, you know, eventually pay off their house or whatever that looks like, their mortgage. How much money am I going to have, say, like, to play it safe, put it in the S&P 500, you know, at a 10% return each year, for them to live comfortably. You know, you'd probably want, what, 100 grand a year minimum. Like, I still want my mum, like, I want mum and dad to live well, so probably like $2.5 million a year just for them to live off 250k a year. And I'm like, holy fuck, $2.5 million. Like, if I'm at 100k a month, that's 120k a year. That's without like taking into account business expenses, my life, setting myself up, and then, you know, there comes, you know, my brother, my sister, my niece. I'm just like, holy fuck, like, it's a good problem to have. Like, I'm so grateful to be not complaining about this, but talking about these problems. But holy fuck, like, getting into this, admittedly, I wanted to make an extra $500, $1,000 a week on top of my job as a tradie, or maybe leave my trade and make the same money as I was making as a tradie. Now I'm talking about having $2.5 million each in the stock market for mum, dad, brother, sister, brother and niece. And then obviously I've got to have some money there long term for myself and set myself up. So it's just like, there's the responsibility that I'm feeling right now, and like all the people relying on me right now to make money, which is, you know, my team, my sales team, managers, editors, things like that. People always coming to me, which is good, and I'm grateful to be in that position, to be a leader, and be responsible for so many people who look up to me. But then there's also the long-term stresses that I'm putting on myself to go like, holy fuck, like, yeah, I've worked hard the last 2.5 years. I'm gonna have to do that for another, you know, 10. And I guess this is why it's cool watching this video, because there will be a point in time where it's all said and done, and I say this with full fucking conviction. As stressed as I am about making this happening, and as eye-opening and scary as it is that, fuck, I've got to make a lot more money, I am going to make it happen. And I wouldn't be putting this on the fucking internet if it wasn't going to happen. And, you know, I could look back on when I'm 33 in 10 years time, having achieved everything, being proud of this young, dumb 23-year-old just winging life. But I think that's probably the biggest thing that I've improved on, is the conviction in myself and what I'm possible and capable of, because that was probably the biggest thing that I struggled with the first 2 years. I come from this tradie background, full of self-doubt, will this last, and like all this like head noise consuming my mind about all the different ways it could go wrong. Whereas now, especially the last 6 months, especially 2026, the last 7 months, I have so much fucking conviction that I can make it. Like, I will fucking make it. I don't care how long it takes, we will get there. And the final thing that I'm struggling with right now is one, sacrifice. To become successful, there are sacrifices that have to be made. To retire the people that you love in the long term, you know, you're gonna have to make sacrifices. And the biggest one for me at the moment, which like it's really, really hard, is seeing, like, being on the other side of the world. I've moved myself overseas to not pay tax, so I can speed up the process in which, you know, I can have more money in the stock market. I've got more access. Like, money is a tool, and losing 50% of my income in Australia is just going to slow down the process to me becoming successful. So I've moved myself 14 hours, a 14-hour flight from Melbourne, from Geelong, where I'm from. And each week I have a call with my niece Evie, and you know, I'm looking at what the next 5 years will look like. I'll probably be in Dubai, you know, breaking down the numbers for how much it's going to take to retire everyone. It's probably going to be a good 5 to 10 year grind. And, you know, I'm probably only going to be able to be in Australia like 1 to 2 months max a year. And looking at the next 5 to 10 years, my niece Evie's 3 now. It's really hard. I can't believe I'm sort of getting emotional here. I'm not that type of person, and maybe I've ignored this feeling a bit because I know that it's really affecting me. But it's really hard, you know, knowing that I'm sacrificing seeing her grow up, and I'm there, like, you know, I speak to her every week. She doesn't really understand what's going on. I'm not there physically for my brother or my sister either, who each go through their own things. And it's like this feeling of like I've got to be selfish to be selfless, but like at what cost? And like I always come back to, you know, why I'm doing this in this long-term goal and what I want to achieve for everyone. But it's like I've got to sacrifice seeing them really for the next 5 or 10 years. And that's probably the last thing that's really, really hard at the moment. And I know that I'm going to achieve everything that I set out to achieve, but it just keeps playing on my mind at what cost. Like by the time I say I do move back home permanently full time, Evie, like my niece, will be almost a teenager, and we have a really good relationship, and she loves me and she thinks I'm funny and I'm the best uncle ever, but I'm not even going to be there much for the next 5 or 10 years. So that's something that's really hard on me at the moment. You know, it's just having it. We have a weekly call. Fletcher's got her on a Sunday. I call them on Sunday, and you know, each week she's getting a bit older, and you know, I'm just seeing her grow up through a fucking Zoom call. But it's like it's just also a sacrifice that I know that I've got to make. And you know, some people might think it's selfish. You know, family always comes first, but I want to achieve fucking everything for my family, and to get to that point, I'm going to have to sacrifice this, you know, for the next, say, 5 years at a minimum. And then it's like the other thing is like, you know, my parents obviously getting older, and it's like that is the biggest sacrifice that I'm making right now, is being on the other side of the world, setting myself up a company up here so I don't have to pay as much tax, and seeing my parents grow old, my niece, you know, grow up before my eyes, and it's all through a Zoom call, and I'm missing, you know, a lot of valuable time with them, and that's really hard. But you know, for the future me, I'm going to wrap up because I've actually got a bit emotional there. But for the future me, you know, who watches back on this in a year, you know, maybe you're at those 100k weeks. Who knows where you could be? $1 million months. Maybe the whole process does get fast tracked, and I'm at that point in 2 or 3 years where I can move back home. Maybe it takes 10 years. Thank you for sticking it out and not making all of this a waste. Yeah, I hope you sort of felt as well the way that I'm feeling, and never forget what did have to be sacrificed to get here. But know now as well, me standing here right now talking to you, the future version of me, that I know this is what I need to do. This is what I was put on this earth to do, and I will fucking do it. I will fucking make it, and I'll do everything in my power to never give up. And because I know that you're watching this right now, I know that everything that I said and set out to achieve to happen has happened. Love you guys. Cheers.